Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and this is a slightly different video. I'll also say that I'm doing this on my handheld vlog camera, which means every single time I turn around and move the camera at all, inevitably you'll be seeing like the top of my head or the bottom of my... I don't have a good sense of direction as I move this unless I'm looking at the camera. But this is a viewer requested video. This video is about what are the games on the shelf behind me and why. What makes me pick these games? When I have games listed above over here, all the stuff up here, I may actually go into some more of the stuff up here, but when I have things up here, when I have games on the shelf behind me, games over here behind me when I'm doing one of my videos that I'm facing the, the screen and talking about crowdfunding, all that, what makes me choose what games go where, specifically in the more visible section of my collection? And I'm going to answer that. It's something I've actually answered before on live streams, but I don't think I've ever done a dedicated video about it. And today is that day. And so let's go ahead and talk about some general rules as far as what I do and why, and then we'll just start browsing and going into specifics. The first thing is that my main priorities when picking games that go behind me are twofold, and they usually align inherently. The first is that I don't like wasted space. I don't have enough room for wasted space. I'm gonna look around the room briefly, but there's wall to walls of games and harsh lighting and all that, and I have as much space as I can manage wrapped up in games, trying to be as efficient as possible, constantly moving things in or out. I don't want this to overflow into more rooms, and so I already don't have room for wasted space. And so when I put games on the shelf, one of the big things for me is that I want the games to look pretty like this, as opposed to looking like a mess like this. Not a mess, but you know what I mean. It's not as visually pleasing to the eyes when you're doing a video. And so nice, large games like this works well. It works great. The problem is, what's behind that game? How much wasted space is behind that game? I can either hide games behind here and forget they ever exist until 3 years from now when I pull it out and I'm like, oh, I do like that game. I haven't played it in 3 years because I forgot it existed. And so that's the first consideration. I don't want wasted space. And to that end, having big box games where you can have the expansion content from said game behind there, that means there's less wasted space. So whenever a game is a game that takes up more than, well, the game itself, games that take up a full calyx almost on their own are more likely to be featured behind me. That's going to be the first thing. If they take up more space, if they take up a full calyx, then it's more likely to be featured behind me because the things I put behind it, the wasted space, so to speak, isn't wasted and it's not forgotten, if that makes sense. The second criteria is I want the games to be interesting. I want them to be visually delightful. In other words, I want them to be popular. It's just a... why? I don't know. It's a good question, why? Because I guess you could ask yourself, well, what if you took a game, let's take a game that on my shelf that's not that popular, it's not trying to be mean to anything, but let's say, I don't know, I don't even have a good example. I don't know, I'm just looking at games on the shelf around me. Let's take over here, okay, we're going to grab a game up here. Over here, Spectre the board game from Modifius Games. This is not a incredibly popular game. It's a release that came out, not super popular, and this on the shelf behind me isn't as cool, I guess. I think people like seeing popular games, and sometimes you can be part of setting that popularity. When a new game comes out, for example, just to give you one random example over here, 5 Words, this is a great game, and I hope it becomes popular. And when you have the unknown can spark interest and opinions about the game. But the unknown works and popular works, but almost a mix of when something is known but not popular, I find those games, I don't want them as present here. Like, for example, Warhammer Underworld Shadespire, that's one that I frequently would want to remove. The reason it happens to be there is because, see previous rule about having all the content for a game behind it, and in this particular shelf, I happen to have one speaker set up here that requires a slightly different game box, and these game boxes usually don't do half a shelf. So this is a very specific case that's why Shadespire is there, and it's because I'm trying to accommodate a speaker. So number 2 is that I want games that have some degree of popularity, either setting the popularity because it's new, or that it already has a degree of popularity to the game itself. The camera cut off there for a second, so we're going to reset from the third criteria, and I don't have time for this as much in my life, so it's not the more common denominator, is the natural evolution of the shelf changing. Things changing on the shelf, games moving around, and just trying to give you a, I don't know, something different, something visually stimulating just because it's different. Sometimes that's because of the fact that, I don't know, it might be as simple as moving games from this area over here to that over here, just so you can swap things around. Sometimes it's because new things come in or out. We had Last Light that recently came in, actually, and this one technically actually breaks the rule as far as having things behind it, which sometimes I do break that rule. In this case, it's because it's actually hiding an empty box. I'm missing my copy of Lords of Ragnarok right now because I took that to Origins to demo at Origins, and I'm waiting to get back the replacement copy for that one. So I have all these stretch goals, all the expansions, but I don't have the base game. I'm waiting for that back. And in the meantime, Last Light is a large box. It fills the calyx nicely. It doesn't have anything behind it. That's because Lords of Ragnarok is temporarily behind that because I don't have a base game. So those are the 3 criteria, and let's go through the actual shelves in a second. But once again, things that are behind the games. Having games that have enough calyx space that there's inherently room for stuff behind it while letting it be a flat visual display. Number 2, popularity or building popularity. And number 3, rotating things around so that things get mixed up. And with that, let's go ahead and start off. And let's start off with the just, left to right, all that. But we have Clash of Cultures. Behind Clash of Cultures, I don't remember. This is the problem. I don't remember. I think I might have something behind Clash of Cultures, but I'm not certain. Obviously, doing this one-handed. Nope, nothing behind Clash of Cultures. Once in a while, behind these larger boxes, I will store something. So sometimes I do have something that I'll forget about. For a while, Monumental was hidden out of sight, out of mind, and I haven't played it in a long time. Let's pretend that that's the reason. We also have, to be clear, I like Monumental. When I say let's pretend that's the reason, I just am joking about the fact that there are so many games I don't get to because I play a lot of games, but I can't get to everything all the time. We have Zombicide Undead or Alive. I already pulled this out. You saw that there's more behind that. We have Monumental over here, which behind Monumental, I know I have more Monumental, but I also have the extra box from Master of the Universe. Master of the Universe has so much overflow that it takes up a full cubby and then some, but not enough for two full cubbies, so I place it behind here and hope to dear Lord that when it's time to play that game, I remember where I put the stuff. Sometimes I do. Other times I play a little game of pulling off boxes from the shelf trying to figure out where a game could be. I still don't know what my Lords of Hellas is. I still don't know what my Lords of Hellas. Lords of Hellas is somewhere on these shelves. Anyways, behind Shadespire, we have more Shadespire. Lots and lots of Shadespire. This has to leave my collection. More specifically, I have to play it. I have to just play this game already. It's been on my list for a long time. I really want to play it, but I haven't done so yet. But when it does, I'll have to figure out what replaces it because it actually is very unique as far as the way this lets the speaker be on the shelf and still have stuff behind it. We have Last Light. Behind that, we have Lords of Ragnarok, the extras. We have down here, we have Marvel Zombies. Behind Marvel Zombies, I currently have, I'm pretty sure nothing. No, I have Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance, and then the Silver Surfer. Basically, the Marvel Zombies content I do have. This is obviously going to have to be changed drastically once the film Marvel Zombies comes in. It'll almost certainly get a place. I'm a Zombicide fan. I've been pretty clear about that. I like Zombicide. It's a trashy, fun game that's liked by a lot of people, including myself. I will happily display at least one Zombicide at any given point. Right now, I think there's 2. There's Undead or Alive, and then we have Black Plague stuff, which I guess is... No, just 2. Just 2 cubbies are displaying Zombicide. I'll try to keep it to 2. No need to have more than 2 at a time. We have Skyrim down here. Behind Skyrim, I think I have more Skyrim. Nope, actually I have Nature Incarnate right now. So behind Skyrim, I think I have my other Skyrim underneath a shelf there. But behind Skyrim, I currently have extras for Spirit Island Nature Incarnate. That's temporary because the rest of my Spirit Island is down here where it's no longer really a nice box, so to speak. I have my Marvel Champions and my Spirit Island not in a flat display, but also it's directly where I'd be sitting. So like, you'd see me over here when I'm doing one of my traditional videos and you wouldn't really see Spirit Island, so I can get away with kind of having it not entirely pretty the way some of these are. On the lower shelves follows the same rule. They're often a mess, so they're not really part of the same conversation. They don't have that visual aesthetic because they're not visibly being displayed. Then we have over here, we have Arena of the Contest. Behind Arena of the Contest, we have a ton of Arena of the Contest. This actually sticks out from the side of the shelf by a decent amount, more so than anything else on the shelf. But behind this, we have more Arena of the Contest, and that doesn't even include Daenerys Adventures, which gets its entire own top of the shelf area on the other side of this camera. But we have more Arena of the Contest behind there, because again, game that I like. Oh, also, I may not have said this, but including in popular games is game that I like, but that's almost always true. I generally put games I like over here, not other stuff. My camera keeps cutting off randomly, and I can't figure out why, which is not great. This is like the 3rd time it's done it. Twice today, but did it once before. I'm not sure what's making it happen, and we'll figure that out later. Anyways, I don't know exactly where I left off, so I'm just going to continue and patch it all in together. But we mentioned Arena of the Contest over here. We have all that. We mentioned behind Monumental, we already talked about. And then behind Wonderland's War, I'm not entirely sure what we have behind Wonderland's War, nor am I entirely sure what we have behind Wild Ascent. Machina Arcana is behind one of them. I don't know which one. So let's go ahead and find out. And I don't know if there's anything else other than those. Wonderland's War is a very tight squeeze over here. It's going to come out over here. We're going to try not to drop anything. One-handed taking off games from shelves. oh, that's right, we have quad heroes. I forgot about that. We have quad heroes while I wait for the new quad heroes to come, because I got that one coming from the Kickstarter campaign. But I have the extra stuff from quad heroes behind that, which means Machina Arcana is going to be behind Wild Descent. There we go. Got Machina Arcana in there behind Wild Descent. Excited for that one. Also nervous with my camera turning off now. I have to figure out why that's happening. Then we have Foundations of Rome down here, and Isis Vanguard down here. Those don't really see as much shelf space unless and until I rotate things around. Let's go ahead to this side of the camera over here. We have Zombicide, No Rest for the Wicked. Behind Zombicide, we have more Zombicide. All the Black Plague stuff is behind there. Let's go ahead and pull this off. This comes off fairly nicely. And we got just, you know, Black Plague, Green Horde, all that stuff behind the shelf over there. Master of the Universe, like I said already, has a full extra box elsewhere. But additionally, we got this full stuff over here. The castle kind of fits in nicely. It all condenses, but you do need that extra stretch goals box. Although the base game box I haven't really messed around with. I think I probably could consolidate it more if I really wanted to, but that's not happening right now. Then we have Titans from Go On Board from Lucas Wozniak over here. One of the few games on the shelf that I have not played. There's my Lords of... Oh my gosh. There's my Lords of Hellas. I'm glad I found Lords of Hellas. I forgot where it was. I knew it was somewhere here. But anyways, I think that makes Titans the only game... Nope, Titans and Warhammer Underworlds are the two games on this full background I haven't played. Everything else I have. Rise of Moloch, which has effectively been replaced by Master of the Universe, but I can't bring myself to get rid of Rise of Moloch. I've had too much fun with the game. I really like it a lot. Then we have Scarface 1920 with some extras behind here. This one actually won't come out easily. The way the corner intersects is down here. You have Cloudspire just enough in the way that it's actually a real pain to pull that one out. I'm not going to try doing it one-handed, but we have some of the Scarface extras behind it, and then a little wasted space. Then we have Nemesis Lockdown. Behind Nemesis Lockdown, I don't know what we have. I think I have... Wait, I can remember this one. We moved Project Elite. I think I just have Nemesis. I think it's just Nemesis. Nope, Rum Bones. I have more Rum Bones content over here because I have an entire Rum Bones semi-library there, as well as the entire Rum Bones from the first edition over here. So one of the reasons Command gets so much attention is because they make these giant big box games that I happen to like a lot, and so Rum Bones is one of those that I very much enjoy. I don't want them to make a third edition for me, because I would probably want to buy it, but I do want to make a third edition almost for others, so more people can get in on Rum Bones. I think it's fantastic. One of my favorite skirmish games, one of my favorite MOBA games in general. Then we have over here, so if we scroll over here, scroll. I don't know why I say scroll. I say scroll a lot when I just mean, like, move. I don't know why. Internet habits. Over here we have Ankh, same conversation behind Ankh is Ankh, behind Cthulhu to die is Cthulhu to die, behind the Great Wall we have, shockingly enough, more the Great Wall and half an empty cubby. When it's a half empty cubby, I usually just leave it as is, unless I'm trying to fit like an extra Master of the Universe stretch goals box. I don't want to confuse myself more than I already have to. We have Cloudspire down here, but again, visually cluttered, but not as obvious on camera. Kingdom Rush lower down there. We have Marvel United over here, as well as Marvel United boxes from One Sharp Joe over there, full of more. This is all Marvel United. A little bit of Marvel Champions over here. Then we have DEI, Burn Cycle, Tsukiyami over here. DEI and Burn Cycle I love. Well, DEI I really love, Burn Cycle I love. And then Tsukiyami I haven't played, so I don't have an opinion on that. We have Project Elite, a game I probably should be getting rid of, but I refuse to because I want to play it more. And behind Project Elite, we have more Project Elite. I'll show you this time. Maybe I can get it out. Let's see, the one-handed box maneuvering, Project Elite over there, more Project Elite. Behind Nemesis up there, we have more Nemesis as well, and we have a little Board Game Co. sign over here. And made by Professor Meg, I appreciate it. Devin has one in his studio as well. We have, and then from over here, from this section onwards, we have more stuff that I need to review. So these over here stop being things that I have played. I've actually played Museum Picture. I may have played some of these, but these start moving more into review territory, and I hide just behind them. I hide, like, well, in this case I had more DEI, but usually I'm hiding more review copies behind them. And those I'm not worried about being out of sight, out of mind. I have my own way where I track games I need to review, and it's an entirely different system that... Cut out again. Not sure. I changed the setting. Maybe it'll fix it. We'll find out. Either way, seeing the games does help for even review copies, but I have my own system to track it, so it's not essential, it's more helping. Which lastly means we have one last section to go over, which is all the stuff up top over here. And so this is where, I guess let's cover this section up top over here first. But up here we have a little Nemesis residual stuff and space for more. We have Roleplay Adventures, which should be going away at this point. Hopalocus Victorum, which is still here for now. The Trip Theory Games just announced new content for Hopalocus. I have it around for that. Hopmockers I like, but it got a little grindy. I'm curious to see what changes they make that adjust that. And we have an entire collection full of Monster Hunter World, as well as some Tenaris dragons just kind of peripherally sitting up there. This whole area is something I want to organize. It's really not visible in most videos, I think. I don't know. Up here, on the other hand, this is much more of a display case of just various knickknacks and things that we have over here. Just working our way through this, so we have, well, I'm not going to go through all the knickknacks because that would be a whole longer conversation, but instead, let's talk about the games. One of my bigger priorities for games up here is different than my priorities for games elsewhere. And the priority is more, again, the visual presentation of the way it looks on the camera. And I think having kind of centerpieces looks nice, as opposed to just more boxes of, you know, your usual size. You want boxes of unusual size. Rodents of unusual size. Rowers? What's the rodents of unusual size? The R-O-U-S's. Either way, we have boxes, B-O-U-S's, okay? We have B-O-U-S's over here, and that's what I think works well. And so to that end, we have a centerpiece, which currently is Mechs vs. Minions. At one time it was Madara, which is behind over here. At one time it was Crimson Scales. It does rotate, and some of that's also based on whether I'm playing it. At one time it's the Reckoners. And so I'm more likely to pick a big box centerpiece that doesn't get pulled down often, because, let's be honest, if I pull this down, it's a bit of a pain, because there's all this, like, stuff around it. It's a pain. So I basically put games here that I'm not playing, but that I want to play. That's why Mechs vs. Minions is here, because it's a game I'm not playing, but I want to play. I've played Mechs vs. Minions. I played like 8 or 9 times, if not more. I really like it. I just never finished it, and so it's going to be here until I finish it, at which point I will find another big box stupid thing to put here. Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed should go here. This is a good one here. Assassin's Creed is another great game that I'm not playing enough, so that's the kind of thing I think of. I want a larger game, not just a small, this is not a small box, but I want a larger game that I'm not actually pulling off the shelf often. So yeah, Mechs vs. Minions is currently over here. On top of that, we have Unsettled. This is actually much more accessible. I think it's a nice piece up here. I might shift things around eventually. Honestly, Unsettled is not on camera as often. The way the camera cuts off, going back to, you know, our setup over here, is very often you see a setup along this line, something like that. That's roughly where the camera is. It usually does not go back far enough to see Unsettled, so Unsettled is not on the camera often enough for me to care about changing it that much. So we have Unsettled over here. We have a Massive Darkness enemy box. This is purely for visual display. I'm 90% sure it's empty. Yep, it's empty. Just lifting it lightly. The problem is if it's empty, it could move very easily. So that's just for display and whatnot. We have Xayah Legend of Adrift System. Easy enough to pull off if we wanted to, but still there, blocking effectively the computer that's behind it. There's a computer behind here. I don't want you to see my computer. I mean, not because I care, just like, I want board games. I want board games and knickknacks. Board games and knickknacks all the way. And then over here, we have Hopmockers Remastered. Again, the top box is more accessible. And we have Eclipse Second Dawn for the Galaxy, which I had forgotten was there. But now I know it's there. It's there. And then we have Primal, the prototype box of Primal. It's one of the only prototypes that's behind the larger Board Game Co. sign. But the prototype box of Primal is behind over there. That is one that I don't know if I'll ever get rid of it, because, I mean, I guess I'll have Primal coming. I'll have to put something there. I don't know. And then we have more ISIS Vanguard section boxes because it didn't fit down to the cubby. And that's basically the kind of alignment up here. A mix of knickknacks so that I can pretend to have a personality that is not 100% board games, even though we do have, like, you know, the Nemesis Cat and the Too Many Bones miniature and the Flamecraft Dragon stuff. So I guess we kind of still mostly embrace the board game personality as opposed to anything else. But we have this guy with his teeth. You ever seen this guy over here? Fugly dolls? They're adorable, okay? Found that guy while cleaning up the laundry room, and now he's part of my set. Don't know why. Anyways, that's kind of what goes behind the shelf system over here. The shelf system over here is effectively big box games so that I don't waste space, rotating them occasionally while being popular. That's it. That's the magic. That's the magic of what I do. Not a single one of these is ever something that was paid for by a publisher. Not a single one of these is inspired by a relationship with publishers. I can't speak for unconscious bias, obviously, but I mean, they're just big box games, usually of companies I like, usually of games I like, where there's hidden stuff behind them, and then once in a while I kind of have to fill a spot, and I don't have enough of those because it's weird. You need a specific thing. Like, I have a giant stack of Massive Darkness over here, but it wouldn't really fit into a Callus cubby, because this is how much Massive Darkness I have, and that's after it's consolidated. Ignore the harsh light on my face. We have also this guy who doesn't fit anywhere near up there, but this is all the Massive Darkness stuff I have, and it's that's consolidated Massive Darkness, which means I don't even know how I would pretend to engage with that in any way, shape, or form. Anyways, that's what we have over here. I'm going to move away from the light that makes my face look haunted, so I can end the video looking halfway like a human being. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video tour of the back of my shelves. And as always, I hope you have a good one.